Hello, YouTube coin collectors and stackers. I have a fun video in store for you today. Before we get into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. So, I went to a annual coin bourse last night. I belong to several coin clubs, and you've heard me speak about this on my channel. If you don't belong to a coin club, I highly recommend you go ahead and join one. They're beneficial on so many levels, from education to the ability to find cool coins, as you're about to see, to a whole other, just the sociability aspect of it as well. And at the end of the video, we're going to go ahead and open these up. Let me turn some lights on here so you can see what I got. But what I have here is 2 mystery rolls. I went down to my bank yesterday before I went up to the coin bourse. I had to grab some cash. And I was like, hey, can I have some Lincoln cent rolls? And the manager says, yeah, you can have 2. And he went into the vault and he gave me these 2. And as you can see, these are both bank wrap rolls, and we have reverse enders on both ends. So are these 2025s? Are they 2024s, 23s, 22s, 21? Who knows? But I'm going to crack these open at the end, and we will discover together what exactly I ended up picking up at the bank. In the background, you see a coin we'll get to. That is an 1820/19 large cent, among some varieties I picked up this week. But let's start off with the first coin in our roundup today, which is this 1879-0. So this is the first year of the New Orleans Morgan dollar. There were 2.88 million of these minted. And this one is like, low AU, XF45, it's probably like AU50 in that range. And many of you know that the New Orleans Mint closed in 1861 at the beginning of the Civil War. I've shown you my seated Liberty half dollar that was minted under the Confederacy. But that closed in 1861. It was operated by the state of Louisiana briefly, and then by the Confederacy till they ran out of silver. And this mint was reopened in 1879, and what it minted mostly were Morgan dollars. Again, 2.88 million of them. It's believed, according to something I read by Q. David Bowers, that when they reopened the mint, there were 12 proof Morgan dollars that were struck on February 20th of 1879. But a very interesting coin. I needed it for my Morgan set, and I had an open slot for it. A cool coin on a lot of levels, particularly with the reopening of New Orleans Mint. Next up, we have this really, really nice 1836 bust half dollar. And this is a lettered edge variety. And, it's in the flip here, but, it's a lettered edge variety. Later in 1836, they actually went to a reeded edge. This coin is a little different, metal or alloy mix than that we're used to today. It's 89.2% silver and 10.8% copper. And the look on this that I really like is called a circulated cameo look. So we have, the dark background, which is, to me, what happens to one of these coins over time. An old coin should look like this. And we have this sort of cameo effect where we have the devices popping off and we can see the detail. It's almost like someone, sketched this with pencil and colored in all the hair and the detail in the Phrygian cap and around her blouse and all of that stuff. Very, very nice. It's one of my favorite looks for coins, for half dollars like this and Morgan dollars. When I see them looking like this, I typically tend to pick them up because I just think they're super attractive and cool coins. And there's more demand for those circulated cameos as people start to understand what they are and have an appreciation for them. Next, we have this 1821 bust quarter. This one you can see is G4, maybe like AG3. It's sort of in that range. There's my dog flapping his ears. But these larger size quarters were made from 1815 to 28. And then the type 2, which is the small type, was minted from 1831 to 1838. And this coin here is only 216,000 or so minted, just under 217,000 minted. But it's a very large mintage relative to the series itself. And believe it or not, there are coins in high grades available for this year, and the highest that I was able to find on PCGS was a Top Pop coin, an MS67, for a cool 6 figures if that's your jam. Now we have this 1853 with arrows and rays quarter. This is the seated quarter, and it's the type 3. It's a 1-year type, so there's a lot of demand for this quarter from type collectors, because again, it's a 1 year. There's a 1 year type for the half dollar on this as well. And 15.2 million of these were minted. Why does it have the rays on it? Why does it have the arrows next to the date? This signifies a reduction in weight. It's still 90% silver, but they reduced the weight because people were melting down the old ones for the silver value. And what these arrows signified was this is the reduced weight, and this is actually 25 cents worth of silver. But the result of this being made was that lots of pre-1853 quarters were melted. So as a result, we for their bullion, right, because they were worth more than a quarter. So as a result, the mintages prior to 1853 are relatively meaningless because a lot of them ended up, as I mentioned, being melted. Moving on from a Type 3 arrows and rays, we go to this Type 5. This one's really dark. Let's see if I can get under the light here. This is an 1876 Carson City seeded quarter. You can see it's at the lower end. It's about very good for this guy, and just under 5 million minted. So it's one of the more plentiful dates for the Carson City mint. You look at that wide spread on the CC down there under the eagle. This quarter suffers from something that is known as a corroded die marking. So in the Carson City mint, in order to stoke the fires and get everything going so they could do what they needed to do, they burned a lot of pine that was coming out of softwoods that were coming out of the nearby mountains. This created a lot of humidity in the mint, even for a dry climate like Nevada. And they didn't always put the oils and greases on the dyes, and they would get corroded over time, and then they'd bust them out later and mint coins with them. And this is an example of what that looks like. And we have a pair of Lincoln cents. So I'm going to take the 1820 over 19 off the scope because we're going to look at one of these two here. So first one here we have is this really nice 1922 Denver. This one goes into my typeset book. Fairly low mintage if you think about mintages for Lincoln cents, 7.2 million. And Denver was the only mint that made Lincoln cents in 1922. If you find one without the D on it, you can see this one very clearly has a D on it. That's called a plain, a 22 plain, and those get a big premium. Essentially, what happened was they kept polishing the dies, and at some point they polished the D right off it. So you can see this is a much earlier die state. It's got a nice crisp strike on it. It's got a nice crisp strike on the reverse, and for this year, you tend to see really mushy coins for this year. And on this one here, which is also a 22. I want you to focus on the 1 in 1922, and you'll see that there's this obverse lamination error that runs right under that 1. And we're going to look at it on the scope here real quick as well, so you can really see what that looks like on this coin. And the reverse has some really interesting attributes as well. Well, let me go ahead and get this guy a little better focused here. Somehow it got out of focus in all of my moving things around. But right from the 1 here, you will see, oops, sorry about that, guys. You'll see that lamination error going right up through. It's almost like it's decapitated Lincoln in a way. So that's interesting. I don't think it gets much of a premium, if any. And then on the reverse, we have a situation where we have some really, really nice die cracks, like this one running down through pluribus, right through the 1 like a lightning strike. We have another one here through the wheat right there, and then another one on the other side through the wheat right there. So that's a fun one as well to pick up, just with a little bit of extra, sort of die variety on it. Next, we don't need the scope for this guy, but this is your 1909S. And with the last year of the Lincoln cent, we're going to be cracking open some mystery rolls later, as I mentioned. When I can be able to find these, I want to pick them up. This is going into my B book, this 1909S. Cent, and I was able to get a pretty decent deal on it. 1.8 million of these minted, and it's considered a semi-key in the series. The key, of course, being the 1909S VDB, which has a VDB here on the reverse down at about 6 o'clock, which this one does not have, unfortunately for me. But I want to draw your attention now to this 1916 Denver Barber quarter, and this is in an old green. I think this is about a Gen 2.2 green holder from PCGS. And to me, I just looked at this coin and I said, wow, this has got some really, really nice eye appeal, especially for like a 63 coin. And who knows, I'm not going to crack this out. Who knows if this would grade up. I'd love to hear your opinions, but The interesting thing about this quarter, I think one of the things that attracted me to it, other than the fact that it's just got a really nice look about it, just a really, the eye appeal on this coin is fantastic. But this coin never should have been made. They ended up minting about 6.5 million of them, but they were supposed to be minting standing Liberty quarters that year. There were all sorts of delays in the production and issues with it. And coming into the fall, there was strong commercial demand for quarters. And so as a result of that, Denver had just started minting Mercury dimes. They minted just a 264,000 Mercury dimes when the order came from from Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia to stop minting dimes and mint quarters. And the Treasury and the Mint placed large orders for quarters, about $1 million face, which kept Denver busy through the rest of the year. But this is why the 16D the 16D Mercury dime is the key date. It's because of this quarter right here, and the need to mint these for circulation, again, due to issues with the SLQ. This is also the reason why your 1916S Mercury dime is as plentiful as it is, because in order to mint these quarters at Denver and go to full production and just focus on quarters basically through the end of the year, which is what they did, they shifted all the production to San Francisco. And this is just, again, just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful example with tremendous eye appeal. Now we have this, see if I can get it under the light here, this Mexican 2 centavo from 1906. I needed this one for my typeset, and this is a nice uncirculated example, in more of a brown than a red brown, but that goes right in the book. Next up to put under the scope, and again, I apologize how dark these are, but this is a 1804 half cent with a spiked chin. So the 1804 half cent had just over 1 million of these minted. Let me zoom out so we can look at the spike under the chin. Just under 1 million of these minted, and it's a fun variety. And this was caused by, it's kind of hard to see there, but you can see that little spike right here coming out of the chin. This was caused when there was damage that occurred to the obverse die, and so you have this sharp kind of spiky projection that's jutting out from Liberty's chin. And it's considered a die state because there's other examples from this specific obverse die that don't show the spike. And I just thought that was a fun pickup as well. Now let's look again at a little closer at this 1820 over 19. And you can see there, if you look at the 2, there's a north-south line coming into the 2. Let's throw this one under the scope to get a better look at it. Of course, I started the video off with this under the scope. Let's put it back under there just to have a closer look, and there it is, and clear as day. So there are, in fact, 3 overdate varieties for the 1820. Newcomb 1, 2, and 3. This is a Newcomb 1, which shows this 1 essentially bisecting the 2 from north to south. The other varieties have a very, very clear 9 inside the 0. This one does not, and the other, is a little harder to see, but you can certainly make out the overdate. But this to me is a nice dramatic overdate. This Newcomb 1 with this north-south bisection of the 2 on this one. Sticking in the copper realm and zooming in a little bit, let's look at this really neat 1863 Civil War token. This is variety 189-399-1A. It's a copper, and this one's famous for having this Star of David reverse on it. We should hold it this way with the wreath around it. Nice high condition XF coin to add to my Civil War token set. This is another fun variety. Doesn't need the scope, but what I would like you to do is take a look at this 2-cent piece and notice if there's anything odd about it when I flip it over. Are you noticing anything odd other than it says right on the thing here? Yes, this is a metal orientation on this coin. It's a 180-degree die rotation. Super fun. I've seen, you see 10%, 25%, even 90% kind of die rotations, but not quite 180. It's like 178, but that is cool. That is a very cool coin with the metal orientation on this 1864 large motto 2-cent piece. Here's a coin that I absolutely fell in love with, was this 1832 half cent. And what's really neat about this 1832, this 1832 half cent is the low mintage on it. 154,000 of these. That's it. Of the 1832 half cent. And this one has just really nice detail on it. Let's just say it's like XF detail. But beautiful eye appeal, beautiful toning on it. You can see all the detail. You can see all the denticles all the way around. It's got a nice strike to it. Really beautiful toning on it. And this is a major upgrade to my half cent in my typeset. And then lastly, we're going to do a quick little roundup of the other stuff before we crack open those penny rolls. This is just a neat coin I saw. So this is an Australian coin, Battle of the Coral Sea. And I love coins with boats on them. And this is a really cool boat, some kind of a destroyer battleship on here. And Queen Elizabeth from 2014. This is a ½ ounce of 3/9 fine silver. I picked up this 54S nickel, and it's hard to see it here for no other reason that it's got this crazy exceptional toning. Yeah, it's not full steps. It's not the best struck nickel, but the toning on this is really, really, really unbelievable when you see it in person. There, you can really see it there. You hold it in hand. Rounding out, we have a 1909 Indian cent, and I'm picking up all of these I can find because this is also the first year of the Lincoln cent, and the Lincoln cent is just the hottest thing in town right now because of all the advertising the Mint's doing. We have a semi-key 1910S, and then a couple other ones that round up. They're not really all that crazy interesting other than I just need them to build out sets on the Lincoln cent front. So now we're going to crack open this thing and see what in the heck is in here. Like, what do we have in here? And sorry, I couldn't find my flathead screwdriver, which is kind of dumb, but let's just go ahead and see what this first one is. And, I think we'll know after we crack open this first one what the other one's going to be, but we never know. And let's take a look here. Try not to get my thumb all over it, but we have a 2023! Oh, bummer. Well, there's no need to open the other one because we already know what the other one is since these came out of the same box. Well, you know what? On the off chance this is not a 2023, let's just crack it open real quick. But if I'm a betting man and I'm in Vegas, this is another 2023 Denver. Let's take a look here. It was exciting. I was waiting for this video to crack them open just to see. And this one is also as predicted, 2023 Denver. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you had fun with this video. And I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Happy collecting.